Another busy, hard day at work is over. I'm going home, sighing sullenly. It's strange, isn't it? Usually people rush home after the workday is over, and I don't feel like going back there at all. My smartphone vibrates. There was a new message from my wife. Don't forget to buy groceries and pick up my order from the takeout. Mia and I have been married for 20 years. Now we have messages like this. Buy groceries, we're out of milk. Pick up my order from the drop-off point. No romance. I'm 45 and she's 41. We have an 18-year-old son who is in college and lives separately. I'm tidying up my desk, thinking about what a boring, gray life I live, and suddenly there's a familiar, gentle female voice behind me that speaks coquettishly. George, what are your plans for tonight? My husband went to a neighboring town to visit his mother and will stay there for 2 days, so I'm totally free. We could have dinner together and do something else very interesting. Freya touches my tie and pretends to adjust it. I stare at her in utter bewilderment, trying to figure out what she wants from me. Did I just hear her? Freya, this young, pretty 32-year-old woman, who is the object of desire and adoration of almost all the men in the office, suddenly paid attention to me. I courted her, tried to show her more than once that I cared about her, but Freya stubbornly ignored my signs of attention and advances. I didn't know how to react and looked at my coworker, confused, puzzled. My breath caught. I was thrown into a fever when Freya playfully ran her index finger over my wrist and said in a languid voice, "Now I have some business to attend to. I'll expect you after 9 p.m. Don't be late. I like punctual men. See you later." It took me a long time to come to my senses after hearing those words. Just now the woman who had been stirring my imagination for a long time had invited me to her place. I was happy and indescribably elated. I felt young again, full of vigor and energy. I looked at my reflection in the mirror and thought that I was still pretty, but I should take a shower and change. I had to go home to get cleaned up and look nice for the coworker I would be in bed with that night. As soon as I opened the door, the smell of freshly cooked dinner hit my nose. I snorted irritably and headed for the bathroom, but my wife stopped me halfway. "George, are you here yet? I didn't even hear you open the door. I was just making dinner just the way you like it. Come on, wash your hands, get dressed, and get to the table." I reluctantly turned to face my wife and looked at her carefully. She was a typical gray woman, the kind you see everywhere at the supermarket, at the bus stop, on the street. I grinned disappointedly and shook my head. Yes, my Mia with her 15 extra kilograms, unpleasant wrinkles on her forehead and cheeks, graying hair and dreary, boring eyes is not even close to the gorgeous beauty Freya. I proudly thought about how lucky I was that Freya's husband was away, and she would be mine alone for the next 2 days. "I'm not having dinner," I said sternly, trying desperately to hide my delight and forbidding myself to smile. "I'm going to take a quick shower and go back to the office. The chief asked me to work on a project. It's due in a couple days, so we have a lot of work to do. I'll probably spend the night in the office." I've always been the kind of person whose emotions and feelings can be easily read in my face and eyes. I'd never been able to hide the innermost things in the depths of my soul. And on that day, happiness and unbridled delight overwhelmed me. Mia stared at me for a while, scrutinizing me, then nodded and silently walked away. I exhaled a sigh of relief, thinking that my wife hadn't suspected anything. It didn't seem strange to me that a man would come home only to shower and drive back to the office to continue to work, all night on a project. My wife was a no-nonsense woman, and she figured it all out from my burning eyes and beaming face. What I didn't realize at the time was that she understood everything. That's the pros of life. I took a shower, shaved, fiddled with my hair for a long time, trying to neatly and stylishly style it, the way young people do nowadays. I also looked meticulously at my reflection in the mirror. It seemed to me that I was still very good looking. Young women still look at me. So there is something to be proud of. After leaving the bathroom, where I had spent more than an hour, I went into the bedroom to get my expensive perfume, which I took out on exceptional occasions. What was my surprise when I found the bottle on the table? I distinctly remembered not leaving it there. I walked to the table in confusion and saw next to the vial our old family photo album and my wife's wedding ring, which was lying next to our wedding photo. I went into a stupor. I walked out of the bedroom and started looking for my wife. She was asleep in the living room on the couch, huddled in a lump, like a defenseless kitten who was very cold. In her sleep she sobbed from time to time. I could see the traces of tears on her cheeks. I went back to the bedroom to get my perfume. My hands reached for the album. I lowered myself onto the chair and froze. This is Mia and I's wedding picture. Here she looks at me with such love and admiration, as if there is no more handsome and lovelier guy in the world. In this photo, my wife is so beautiful, long-legged, with a waspy waist and mischievous, burning eyes. It's amazing. She used to be like that. How many suitors she had, and she chose me. I turned the page and saw the next picture. Our long-awaited son was born. My Mia almost died in childbirth and took a long time to recover. That's when she gained her extra pounds that she never got rid of. That's when she got her first gray hairs and hormone problems. But in this photo she is still happy, though she is no longer smiling as before, and her eyes are not burning, as in the wedding photo. It's understandable. After all, Mia then had a hard time alone with a capricious child in her arms. Our son didn't sleep at all for the first 3 months. I went to work early so my Mia, to give me a good night's sleep, left the bedroom with my son and spent sleepless nights in the living room with a screaming child while I slept soundly. And in the morning I would be greeted by an irritated wife with unwashed hair and tired, vacant eyes. And here's the next picture. My son is on his way to school, my leg is broken. My wife and I are on the couch, my broken leg resting serenely on her lap. Mia has tired eyes again in the photo and the first wrinkles on her face. She had a rough time of it that day. I was hit by a car and suffered a broken leg and a mild concussion. Mia took care of me like a child. I felt like a king lying on my couch. My every wish was immediately fulfilled by her. I turned page after page and began to notice that there were no more pictures of Mia and me together. There were pictures of me with coworkers, pictures of her with our son, etc. But no more pictures of her and me. This fact got me thinking. Turning page after page, it was as if I was turning the pages of my life, going back in time and living again, everything that had long ago dissolved into time. And suddenly it hit me my wife was once beautiful, young, with burning, mischievous eyes. Once we were photographed together, but now she has tired, empty eyes, and there is no trace of that beauty, and we are photographed separately. I went to the window and looked thoughtfully at the couple kissing on the bench. How tightly they embraced each other, how lovingly and enthusiastically they looked at each other. Mia and I used to be just like that. Then household baby problems. I started to get nervous. My heart ached in my chest. Suddenly a whole new, unexplored feeling came over me, guilt. This new feeling mercilessly scratched my heart to the point of bleeding. I was brought back to reality by an unexpected phone call. I was stunned to see Freya's number on the screen. I took a deep breath and put the smartphone to my ear. Freya, I'm not coming to see you. I realized I shouldn't do that. I have a wife and I love her. I'm sorry. Don't wait for me. I was shocked at my own words. They came out of my mouth so suddenly that I was stunned. I closed the album, put my bottle away, and left the bedroom. I walked into the living room and looked at my sleeping wife. She was still sobbing in her sleep. It pained me to realize that she was crying and the cause of her tears was me. I admired my sleeping wife for a long time and found her very beautiful, along with her wrinkles and gray hair. I covered Mia with a warm blanket so she would not be cold. Early in the morning I left the apartment and went to get orchids. My wife loved them so much when she was young. The last time I gave Mia flowers was when I picked her up from the hospital. That was 18 years ago. I bought some gorgeous orchids and came home. Mia woke up to find her favorite flowers on the living room table. Meanwhile, I was preparing breakfast for her. I've never had any outstanding culinary skills. I only made scrambled eggs and coffee, but my Mia enjoyed this simple breakfast as if I had prepared some delicacy for her. For the first time in a long time, my wife and I had breakfast together. I excused myself from work and told her that we would be spending the next few days together. Mia, of course, was shocked. She couldn't believe what was happening. A happy, enthusiastic smile never left her lips. That day we took a long walk in the park, holding hands, had lunch in a small, cozy restaurant on the riverbank, watched a romantic movie in the evening. Mia was unrecognizable. "Please don't take off your wedding ring again," I said, and handed it back to my wife, then kissed each of her fingers in turn. "You are the best thing that ever happened to me. I love you. Let's start over. A new life and a new relationship. Just you and me." Mia threw herself into my arms and cried. From happiness. A lot of time has passed since then. I have never forgotten that I have my wife, my soulmate, my Mia. I showed her every day how much I loved her. And you won't believe it, she blossomed. Beautiful, slimmer, younger. I even think her wrinkles have smoothed out. I can't wait to go home to my Mia after work and give her a hug. I'm counting the minutes until the end of the workday. By the way, I bought a new photo album. It's full of pictures of me and Mia together. I should clarify, happy family photos.